Pre-registry site chamber, then origin site index room. Afternoon. I photographed the handprint before we left the chamber. 3 frames from different angles, close enough that the scale is clear against the stone. Palm and 3 fingers. Left hand. Small. I also photographed the wear pattern on the lower shelf, the rectangular depression, the disturbed dust at the edges, the clean line where something was lifted away. Documentation before interpretation. I have the photographs. I don't yet know what to do with them. We climbed out. Hannah pulled up the rope while I stood at the edge of the excavation looking at the sorted rubble piles, the organized stacks, the careful methodology of whoever cleared this site. The objective now is the handprint. If the unknown investigator is registered anywhere in the archive system, there may be a record I can cross-reference. The Origin Index has investigator cards going back to the 1780s. Not all records survive intact, but it's the best available reference. Origin site, index room. Early afternoon. Hannah went through the investigator cards while I worked through the photograph on the reading table, holding it next to what I could find. We worked for 2 hours. No match. Not a close match I couldn't confirm. No match at all. No card in the index with an attached physical description that fits the handprint scale. No notation referencing a small-handed investigator. No record I could connect to what we found. Whoever was in that chamber either isn't registered in this index or has a record so incomplete it gives nothing to compare against. I set the photograph down. The device was running at its recalibrated baseline, slower than before the chamber, steadier. It had been doing that since we left the site. I picked up the photograph again. The device interval dropped, noticeably, half a second faster, sustained, not a fluctuation. I held the photograph still. The interval held. I set it down. Interval returned to baseline. I picked it up again. Drop. Same magnitude, same consistency. I looked at Hannah across the room. I said, "The device is responding to the photograph." She came over, watched me cycle through the sequence twice more. Photograph up, interval drops, photograph down, interval returns. She said, "It's reading the contact signature. Same as the journals, same as the envelope extraction. Someone handled this stone. The photograph captured enough surface detail that the device can detect the residue." I said, "Which means it's encountered this person's presence before, in something I've already handled." She said, "Yes." I went through my inventory, methodically. Every document, every object, holding the photograph in one hand, the device in the other, moving through the materials spread on the reading table. O'Connor's Project Chronos journal, no response beyond baseline. The MO journal, slight elevation, consistent with O'Connor's contact throughout, familiar signature, already cataloged in my notes. The 3 catalog cards from the 1994 box, Keller, Carter, Velasquez, no response. The correspondence card, elevation, consistent with previous readings. The pre-registry proto-catalog card, strong elevation, consistent with previous readings. The survey vessel persistence report, no response. The typed pages from envelope 1, O'Connor's extracted log pages, moderate elevation, O'Connor's signature again. The 1923 train station photograph, moderate elevation, multiple contact signatures, consistent with prior readings. Nothing new, nothing that matched the drop the photograph was producing. I reached into the bottom of the bag. The 2 shifting underground journals from the train station. I haven't opened these since season 1. They've been in the bag, carried through every investigation since the train station chamber. I've thought about them. I've noted them in records. I haven't opened them because the last time I read them, the entries shifted between readings. Specifics became vague, numbers disappeared. The text revised itself in ways that made sustained study feel unstable. I held the photograph next to the first journal without opening it. The device dropped to its fastest interval since the chamber, faster than it had moved all afternoon, faster than it moved near the correspondence card or the proto-catalog card. I held it next to the second journal. Same response, possibly stronger. The unknown investigator handled these journals, recently enough that the contact signature is still readable. I opened the first journal. The entries I remember from Season 1 are present, the same handwriting, the same general structure. Observations, dates, location notes. I skimmed to confirm the content I recalled. Then I reached a page I don't remember. New entry. The handwriting is different from the journal's existing entries. Not the author's hand, not the hand I've been reading since the train station. A different person. Neat, small, deliberate lettering. Inserted into the journal. Not pasted in, written directly onto a page that appears to have been left blank, or that became blank at some point between my last reading and now. The date at the top of the entry. Today's date. I read it twice before I understood what I was looking at. Then I read it again. The entry describes this room, the index room at the origin site, the wooden rack holders, the brass document frame empty, the reading table, 2 investigators, one at the table, one moving through catalog drawers. It describes the bag on the table, the journals being removed from the bag, the device interval dropping. It describes me picking up this journal and opening it. It describes me reading this entry. All of it written in the past tense. All of it already complete, already recorded. I read the final line of the entry aloud into the recorder because I needed to hear it outside my own head. The investigator read the entry through to its end and did not move for some time afterward. I looked up. Hannah was watching me from across the room. I had not moved.